Hello friends, I am Dattatreya Tapke, willing to tell you that God is real and we are imaginary. Funny thing, those of you who believe in God, for them it is quite comfortable thing. They will be comfortable with it. Okay, yeah, we believe God. We are believers, so God has to be real. And those who don't believe Him, oh poor God, they would say no, God can't be real. It is unreal. Or they may say it is an imagination. And here I am telling that God is real and we are imaginary. So, do I want to prove the existence of God as many of them have done? Not at all. Now, regarding the very concept of God, so many of them are nowadays telling it is an imagination. God is a very, very beautiful imagination. Quite working imagination, quite workable, very useful imagination, very interesting imagination, they say. While some have already said that God is dead, God is no longer required. Some have said God has to be retired or God is already retired. God is outdated and God is, it only remains in our mind. It has no physical existence. Some say that it has a psychological existence. Some say it is beyond physical and psychological reality and whatnot. There are lots of things said about God. Every religion talks about it. Every theology talks about it. And philosophy talks about it. And as we know that every person has its own philosophy. There are as many philosophies as many there are persons, individuals, and everybody is saying something regarding God. And then this stress begins. What to do about this God? Some may like God's image as a very personal image. And then the trouble begins. If you believe that God is a person in blood and flesh, having a body, and if that kind of God has a birth, then it must also have a death. So the God which is born has naturally to die. So there is no again question having God remaining for eternal time. So we will need God which was not born at all. Then perhaps we can say that this is God which is not born at all. Such a God only can live longer and longer and forever. But then again some mischievous people will say, what's the meaning of not being born? Something that is not born does not exist at all. Can there be something which is not born? And then we impose on it that something that is not born, so it will not die. So it simply means that it does not exist. And that's why then people come to conclusion that, well, all this, this great cloud about God, all these concepts and all these ideas and all this confusion and clarity and all these things come together, something about God. Some say there is a God with G capital. Some say there are smaller gods, very different kinds of varieties of gods having G small. Somebody would say that there is only one God. Some would say there are many gods, etc. And that's why I think that nowadays the new generation, our young scientific generation, logical thinkers, they always think that God is imaginary. And then the other part of it, who is talking about God after all? We are talking about it. Animals never talk. Non-living things, no question of talking at all. Entire existence does not worry about God. The existence itself, the very nature itself doesn't have an idea of God, that there is something like God. So it's all human invention. So call it a discovery or invention, whatever it is. If God already exists, then we have to discover Him. And if He does not exist, then we have to invent Him. And if we are inventing Him, then it becomes our imagination. And then the remaining part remains as, well, we are there. Who is talking about God? Human beings are talking. Who are humans? Let's come to the specific thing that we, I and you, we talk about God. So, leave aside God. Now, what about we? Are we real? What's the meaning of real then? Do we exist? Of course we do exist. We are here. Who are we? Well, everybody says I am body. I am body, you are body. Everybody is body. Everybody is body. So we have a physical existence, of course. And we say that we exist. The What about the world around us? If I exist, I can look at you. You also exist for me. And then the room exists for me, the house exists for me, the entire world exists for me, the entire world, the entire universe. What I can see with my own eyes. Where my eyes don't reach, then I too see it with the telescope. Where the eyes don't reach, that's the microscopic world. I see that with microscope. There might be some things which I can't see at all, but I can imagine them again. There are some other ways with which I prove their existence. So, the entire existence for me as a person becomes a combination of things which can be seen, which can be looked upon, which can be thought about, which can be felt like, which can be experienced. And that is the sum total of this existence. And we say that it exists. But all this existence, it begins with me, myself, as a person, as a human being. If I am a body and I do have got these 5 sense organs, it seems that all my 5 sense organs are giving me an idea of what exists outside me. So these 5 senses, if I had only 4 senses, then the whole world will be world of 4 senses for me. For 3 sense organs, it will be world with the 3 senses. Had it there been only 2 sense organs, again the world will be restricted for me. It will be, going on diminishing like. If there is only 1 sense organ for the man, then naturally the world becomes only 1 sense organ world. Now, why can't I increase the number then? If I have 5 sense organs, if they have 6, they have 7, they have 8, what happens to the world then? If I have many more sense organs, then with that respect, with those dimensions, I will get the idea of the world, I will get the experience of the world with so many different kinds, different varieties and different dimensions. It will go on increasing, it will go on enriching the perception about world. My own perception about world will go on increasing and extending. It means that this entire perception about the world depends upon my perception, my perceiving, that is my sense organs. And through my sense organs, through these 5 windows, I experience this entire world. So world exists because I exist. I exist, my existence. How do I come to know about that? Again, an interesting thing. These 5 sense organs can help me to understand the world outside. Is it that with these 5 sense organs, I can understand myself? Is it possible? I can see my own body with my eyes. If I close my eyes, I can listen to my own voice. But if I don't speak at all, and if my ears are plugged, I don't take any taste, I don't take any smell, I don't take any touch, nothing else, and close my eyes. And then I know that my heartbeats are going and my breathing is going on. And that's natural, it's not in my hand. I can't stop my breathing. That has become the part of my existence, a very involuntary action that goes on automatically within my body, that I am breathing, taking air in and breathing in and breathing out. And the heartbeats are continuously going on. What is this whole thing about? Then how do I come to know that I exist? I don't want testimony by the others. Nobody else outside me should tell me that I exist. Does mirror help me that I exist? When I look into the mirror, it's again my own eyes. My own eyes look the mirror itself, and my own eyes look the reflection in the mirror, like that. So reflection becomes the part of the mirror itself. It's an object only. That again depends upon my own sense organs. And somebody else outside me telling me that I exist. Have I to believe that? I do have a name. I do have a form. I do have a body. I do have experience. What are all these things about? How do I have to prove? How can I prove others? How can I prove to myself that I do exist? Does it look strange? Are you confused? Well, that's the interesting thing in it. When we say that we are real, what do we actually mean by that? When we say we, let's come to the personal, individual thing, that I myself. What is this I with I capital? I. Who is this I? Can I define it? It may be, it's a theological problem to define God. I think that let us keep aside this God itself, but let's think about myself. I. Who is this I? Is it related to the name itself? No. We know that name is an arbitrary thing which is given by my parents. So my surname, my name, my address, everything, that is arbitrary. That's there. We have just kept the name and I assign myself, I associate myself with those names. But all those names together is not me. And my body itself, again the same thing arises. that my body, which is composed of so many physical elements and chemical elements, it's all matter, it's all physical thing. Who am I in that? Okay, what happens when I die? Oh, very dangerous term indeed. The very question of death itself. What happens in a death? Where am I? Okay, forget death. Let's come to the still a very simpler, soft form of death, that is the sleep. What happens in sleep? When I sleep, where do I go? Throughout the day, I consider myself so and so, with my name, position, prestige, with my career, with my job, with my service, and with my relations and everything. All these things, where do they go when I sleep? It's the same thing, the same body, but I'm not conscious at all. So then I have to divide myself into, when in the during daytime I am aware of my awareness, that is a different awareness, and when I sleep, it is again a different kind of awareness for which I am not aware that I am awake. And then might be sleep, and then there will be dreams also. What happens in a dream? Do I have control on my dreams? How do I dream? It's just memory, trying to recollect everything. But what happens to all the memories, all my status, all my prestige, my name, my form, all these things, where do they go? When I'm unconscious or when I'm in a coma, where do I go? What happens to my name that time? What happens to my memory that time? What happens to my existence that time? Everything is vanished. It completely goes off. How do I have to? Can I imagine myself that I am not there? Can I imagine? Can you imagine? Can we all imagine our not being, our non-existent? Let's have that an experiment. You can close your eyes and think that, okay, let us suppose that I am not. I am not there. I am finished. Can you imagine this? Outwardly, you know that there is something like death and you are going to die one day. And then you are going to be separated from this body. Do I really exist like that? Who am I? From where does this I come? If I am a physical thing, if I am a chemical thing, I am a biological thing, where do these thoughts come? Where do these feelings come? Where do these emotions come? This memory come? All these things do exist, I know. But who is there to, to prove them, to give the testimony of itself? I take it all these things for granted. But when I go into deeper, then I come to know that there is nothing like this. I go on peeling my existence one by one like we peel the onion, and then nothing remains in my hand. Who am I? The person, the very solid person which I think myself to be, with my own photograph, and when I look into the mirror, or when I talk to other persons, so I am very much damn sure that. But when I was a very small child, did I remember that time? Did I know that time that I am somebody? When I was a very tiny little child, did I know that I am somebody? No. How come my consciousness, my awareness, the very feeling of my own being, how was it developed slowly as I grew with my age, and then I came to know that I am somebody. A name was given, and then my education, and then my school, and my college, and my position, and all those things where, one by one they were superimposed upon me. But who was I in the original sense of the term? When I was being born and being separated from my mother's body, did I know that time that I am somebody? And if that's the case, did I know inside my mother's womb who was I that time? No idea. So I never come to know who was I in my mother's womb. I never come to know who was, when I was a very impotent child, a newly born child, I didn't remember that awareness at all. When I go to sleep, again, my being of myself, that I am, it's again a different dimension of being I am in my dreams and in my sleeps. When I go into coma or I fall unconscious, again there is a different kind of dimensions of my existence. And after death, I just don't know what happens to myself. Because the entire body remains. At the time of death, each and every cell of it, each and every atom of it is intact there. And then who dies? What happens to me when I die? What happens to me as my existence? So these are very interesting things. And then sometimes I do think that, well, is it not that the feeling of I itself is imaginary? But that has never been proved. Sometimes I do feel that the idea of I is the biggest lie in the world. It is biggest lie. It is quite an illusion, I do think. It doesn't need any scripture, it doesn't need any book, it doesn't need any theory, theology, or any great master to tell it. When I myself go on, searching myself within and within and within, and I do find with my experience that so-called I or so-called we can be imaginary. This is an imagination that I do. From where does this I come? Body is body, physics is physics, chemistry, chemistry, biology is biology. And entire my existence happens to be, physical existence as such. And all these things are happening automatically. And where from this I come in between? How do I feel that I-ness is associated with my body? That's the question. So the word is there, body is there, all the elements are there. Nothing is exactly true. With whom? If entire existence of the world depends upon me and my sense organs, then how have I to prove? How can I prove that the world exists and I also exist? Then I come to know that what are these people talking about? What kinds of concepts are these about God, with which we began our speech? If God is there, then who is this God? Is God the person? Was he created? Is he the creator? Then who created him? Wonderful ideas, wonderful questions, and wonderful problems come out when you start defining God. So shall I change the concept of God then? Why do I consider him as a person? Why do I consider him as somebody as a creator? Why do I consider him as somebody who is sitting somewhere upstairs, or somebody at the top, having his fine apartment somewhere in the universe? Never. There is nobody. In the entire universe, right from Big Bang till now, there is nobody in the whole universe to whom you can call as a God, floating in the cloud or sitting somewhere on a different planet. But the world is. I am. The world is. Or we are. Now, I can imagine a concept that, can I call this entire being itself as God, including myself and including the world around me? Is it possible that while thinking about God and the universe and the whole existence, I myself am dissolved in it? I does not remain at all. And so it happens many times. Many spiritual persons, many masters have given this testimony. They have given this experience. They say that they will go deeper into this superconscious state. They go deeper into their prayer. They go deeper into their spiritual practice. They come to know that they don't remain there. They don't remain at all. Their existence is completely dissolved and only existence remains. Or there are no names and forms. Only existence remains. This existence, well, that is not at a particular point of time and particular point of space. This existence is always in the being, a dynamic thing. So this process of being itself, existence being itself, can be called as God. And if that is the case, my friends, then that has to be real. Beyond all the universe, beyond all the existence, this happening of existence is happening all the time, without beginning and without end. That can be true. It is quite logical that such a happening, such existence itself, can be only real thing. And I, with my illusory name, with my illusory prestige, with my illusory status, with my illusory imaginations, all these things might be there, but they are all, they are so abstract, they are so subtle, they are so imaginary, it seems. They are there, they have their own existence, they are real in the sense, but I can call myself as imagination, but a real imagination. And I can call God, the concept of God, the real God, as a real thing. Though it may look like an imagination, it is a real imagination, and I am imaginary real. I think this is enough for the time being, but I request all of you, my dear listeners, that we have to find it out. Spirituality should become an experimental thing for us. What is real? And because people might say that God is all imaginary thing, because they do consider that they are real. But are we real in a real sense of term? And when you go to the real, the original concept of God, try to understand it properly, then perhaps we can easily come to the title with which I began, that God is real and we are imaginary. Let us enjoy this imagination in order to reach to the reality of God. Thank you, friends.